All right then. Hello everybody. I am back with another interesting video around the English language, around our ability to enhance our expression. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count off 26 really, really exciting words to take you from the beginner to an advanced level in English. And why do we need to do that? Because otherwise, our confidence drops. When we're reading a book, when we're reading the newspaper, when we're talking to somebody good, who's a good conversationalist, when we're watching movies, right? Do you feel that anxiety? Do you feel as if you're just stuck? You're just stuck and you're not able to enhance your English language. Well, I have come to your rescue. And why do I think I can do that, and why do I think I'm capable of doing that? Because uh, English is one of my strong suits, right? I've been a trainer, a coach when it comes to the language for a while. I'm also a published author. Wrote this book called "It's Not Funny" that got published a couple of years back. Even garnered glowing testimonials from the likes of Biswapati Sarkar, Papa CJ, because the book is a work of comedic fiction, and these are great satirists, right? The both of them are great satirists in our country, right? So I think I can do that, right? Because understand what happens is that when you look at this pyramid, most of the people, when it comes to the language, are stuck in the beginner and the intermediate levels, right? When it comes to English, most of the people are stuck here, right? And I want to uplift you guys from here to the advanced levels, and I think we can do that if we slowly and steadily enhance our language, enhance our capability to say words and to use words that leave others shocked, that can leave others asking for meanings, asking for examples, right? Because that is the interesting thing about the language, that when you're speaking it well, when you're speaking well in English, you attract others. It's a quality that not a lot of people have in our country, right? For example, a lot of us use the word confuse, right? I was confused in the morning, and instead of using my key to unlock the door, I ended up using butter. I was so confused, I was not even paying attention to what was in my hands, right? An interesting word for this, or an advanced level word for this, is to be in a muddle. To be in a muddle. Muddle means confused. I was in a muddle. I was in a muddle in the morning, and instead of wearing the pants, started wearing a hat. I was so very much in a muddle that I did not even pay attention to what I was inserting my legs in. Those weren't my pants, that was a hat, right? So to be in a muddle is to be in a state of confusion. Similarly, we're going to count off words from every alphabet. So now I'm going to teach you 26 words that will give you, the push that is needed to climb from the beginner's level to the advanced level in the language. Number one, A. For A, you'd have heard of a word called albeit. Right? You'd have heard of a word called albeit. Albeit means uh, despite what's stated. Despite what's stated. So, for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the words and their meanings and speak out loud a few examples for you to get the semblance of what I'm saying, right? So, for example, um, you've made a lot of progress, you've been studying for a while, albeit a little slowly. A beautiful thing about albeit is that it is not necessarily followed by a verb or a pronoun. It is more often than not followed by a single word or two, three words, probably an adverb or an adjective phrase. For example, you arrived at a meeting, albeit a little late. So albeit means that you're contrasting something, you're saying the you're contrasting the expression, right? You're contrasting the connotation, right? For example, he arrived at the meeting albeit a little late. We've been making a lot of progress, albeit a little slowly, right? So you're contrasting the first expression using, an adjective phrase or an adverbial component, right? I'll give you another example. I'll give you another word from B now. So B for budge. Budge means to move something heavy or to shift your attitude, to move or say shift your attitude. For example, the farmers have been protesting in our country for months now, but Prime Minister Modi won't budge, right? So farmers have been protesting for months now, but Prime Minister Modi won't budge, right? So that's an example for the usage of the word budge. Now, a very, very interesting, very powerful word from C, which is comeuppance, which is comeuppance. Comeuppance means punishment. What does comeuppance mean? Comeuppance means punishment. Right. For example, he's a dishonest man. He's a dishonest man. Today he can enjoy all his riches, but one day he'll get his comeuppance and end up in prison. Right. So you use the word comeuppance when you're talking about a punishment that is deserved. Right. They've been raking millions and millions of dollars uh, through illegal trade, but one day they'll get their comeuppance and get caught, right? So comeuppance, punishment that is deserved, right? D. D for dodgy. D for dodgy, right? D for dodgy. Dodgy is a really, really funny word that is used to mean something that is strange, something that is suspicious, uh, right? And it is used in very, very different connotations. For example, I can use it to describe my haircut as well. Man, the barber, I think the barber was drunk and he gave me a dodgy haircut. He gave me a dodgy haircut. Or you could say something like, my position in the startup is getting dodgy. I might lose this job in the coming months, right? So you're saying that my position in the company is becoming suspicious, and that is why I lose my job. That is one, and the second is you're saying that the the barber was not in his right mind, and he gave me a dodgy haircut. So in one case, you're talking about something that is suspicious, and in another case, you're talking about something that is strange, and in both cases, you're using the same term, which is dodgy. Yeah. um E for, you'd have heard of this phrasal verb, which is to egg on. To egg on. Now, it has no relations to egg, right? To the word egg, or to anda, right? What I'm trying to get at is anda, but it is used as a phrasal verb to mean, uh, encouragement with a lot of negative connotation. Encourage in a very bad way, in a wrong way, right? Let me write that down. Encourage in a bad way. Right? So to egg on is to encourage in a bad way. For example, a sentence for this could be that, he is generally a good kid, but peer pressure egged him on to start taking drugs, right? So you can see how I am saying that peer pressure encouraged him in a very negative way to start taking drugs, but generally he's a good kid, right? So to egg on is a phrasal verb which means to encourage in a bad way, right? F now. F for flustered. F for flustered, right? Flustered means that when you're typically nervous and confused, right? Flustered means when you're nervous and confused, right? That is the meaning of flustered. For example, man, even though I left in time, my cab was stuck in traffic for a long, long time, and I got so flustered I thought I will miss my flight, right? So you can see how I've used flustered here. I've used flustered to describe my state, to describe my condition when, even though I left in time, my cab was stuck in traffic and I was scared, I was nervous, I was confused. I thought I will lose my, I will miss my flight, right? So that is where you use the term flustered. Okay, now we've covered six alphabets, 20 more to go. G, G for G for galore. Have you heard of this term called galore? G for galore. So galore is a very interesting, a very poetic word, and it is more often than not inserted after a noun, right? It means abundance. Galore means abundance, right? Galore means abundance means a lot of something. So for example, to celebrate the my parents anniversary, a lot of our cousins and family friends brought home a bottle of whiskey, right? So we had whiskey galore at home, or we had liquor galore at home, right? So galore is a very poetic term which is inserted after a noun. Yeah, and it has Scottish roots. It has Scottish roots. That is one of those words that has Scottish roots. So yeah, uh, life is not a bed of roses. It is not a bed of thorns either. You'll have challenges galore, but you will find opportunities to succeed as well, right? So again, galore I used after challenges, galore I used after liquor, I used after whiskey. So noun and then galore, right? H. Now, a very funny word with H, but it is a very, very nice word to use, which is hullabaloo. It is hullabaloo. Hullabaloo means a lot of noise and a lot of commotion. A lot of commotion, right? For example, this amazing bakery opened right across the street from my house, and there was a lot of hullabaloo in the morning even before they cut the ribbon, right? So I'm describing commotion at the opening of a bakery using the word hullabaloo. Very funny word, but very interesting word nonetheless. I now. I for inkling. I for inkling, right? Inkling is basically used to describe a feeling, that a feeling you have, that intuition that something might happen, right? You have that feeling that something might happen. That is where you use the word inkling, right? So things have not been, let me first write down the meaning, right? A feeling that something might. So, inkling is a feeling that something might happen. Things have not been right in my relationship. I have an inkling that she's gonna break up with me soon. Right? That is where you use the term inkling, not necessarily in a negative sense, but when you have that intuitive feeling about something, right? Now we come to J. J for jaunt. J for jaunt. Jaunt is basically a short trip, mostly taken for pleasure. Short trip taken for pleasure. That is the meaning of jaunt, right? For example, due to the COVID restrictions, I've not really traveled a lot this year, except for the occasional jaunts to my parents' house, right? So, I've not been able to travel for a while because of COVID, except for the occasional jaunts to my parents' house in my hometown in Chandigarh, right? Something like that. J. Now we come to K. K for knack. K for what? K for knack. Right? When you have a natural skill. Right? Knack is when you have a natural skill. Right? He's He's got a knack for scoring the maximum points whenever we play. He's got that really cool knack uh, for scoring well in the exams, even with little preparation, right? So knack is essentially used in that manner, right? A very, a very special quality, a very special capacity that one has. It's basically just a clever way of doing something, right? That is uh, basically knack. That, for example, I have a knack for spotting birds, rare birds, right? She's got a knack for chess, right? Something that tells us that you're clever at implementing certain things, right? That is where you use the term knack, right? So there's that. L, right? L for leeway. L for what? L for leeway, right? Leeway is when you're giving somebody some freedom, some semblance of freedom to move or act in a certain way, right? Yeah, some freedom. Okay, so that is where we use leeway. So, for example, we should leave ahead of time. We should leave ahead of time because we might get stuck in traffic. So, we should give ourselves that leeway so that we don't miss our flight. So, you're giving yourself some freedom to move or act in a certain manner just by leaving early and making sure that even if you get stuck in traffic, you'll reach the airport in well in time. Right. JKL, sorry, let me insert another slide here, right? Um, Wait, let me insert another slide here. Give me a moment. Right. So we discussed L. Now let's come to M. Right. Let's come to M. M for, have you heard this term called maverick? Have you heard this term called maverick? Right? If any of you is a Tom Cruise fan, you would have seen the term you Maverick being used quite liberally in the movie Top Gun, right? Maverick. Maverick is somebody who is very unconventional, right? Maverick is somebody who is very very unconventional and they do things differently, right? They're passionate about something. They are unconventional, oh, passionate, right? Barack Obama is an unconventional, is a maverick politician who rose through the ranks to become the president of the United States of America. Right? So that's Barack Obama. You're using the term maverick to describe him as a maverick politician, as a passionate and an unconventional politician. N for nitpick. Have you heard of this term called nitpick? Right? Nitpick is to essentially criticize somebody for very insignificant things. Right? That is what we mean by nitpick, to criticize somebody for insignificant things, right? For example, come on, man. I mean, I just forgot to clean the spoon. Stop nitpicking each and everything. You would have heard, couples fight a lot, right? Even our parents, for that matter, you would have heard them fight. They nitpick small small things about one another and annoy each other, right? So that is the meaning of nitpicking. Come on, man, the essay, the article was so nice, and you're just nitpicking because I used American English instead of British English, right? So stop nitpicking, stop criticizing me for insignificant things, right? M N O for ooze. O for ooze. Now, ooze is used in a literal sense as well as a figurative sense. So I'll discuss the figurative meaning, because the literal meaning is very, very simple, which is, he cut him, he hurt himself while playing basketball and blood was oozing out of the wound, right? So that is now a literal meaning for the word ooze. But there's this figurative meaning as well. Figurative sense is, when you give a powerful impression, you give a qualitative, a powerful impression. Give a powerful impression, right? For example, he was oozing confidence on the stage. He prepared his speech so well that he was oozing confidence on the stage. He was giving that powerful impression of confidence, right? To ooze confidence. O p, after O we come to P, and now again a very funny term for you to use, which is pussyfoot. To pussyfoot, now this is a verb. This is a verb, to pussyfoot. So pussyfoot का मतलब है to tread carefully. To tread carefully. Right. So to pussyfoot means to tread carefully. Come on, yeah. Stop pussyfooting around. The periphery. Just go up to her and ask her out. Stop pussyfooting. Just go up to her and ask her out. Ooze some confidence, and she'll say yes. Right? So, pussyfoot is to tread carefully, to tread very, very carefully, like extra carefully. Q. P ke baad we come to Q, and a very interesting word from Q is qualms. And mostly it is used in the plural sense, qualms. Qualm is basically an uncomfortable feeling, or doubt. Right? Qualm is, an uncomfortable feeling or doubt. So, for example, you'd have heard of, you know, this term called qualm being used in a way wherein you're talking about how you'll implement something without any qualms, right? Um, we uh, without any I'm willing to help you out without any qualms, without any apprehensions. I don't have any doubts there, right? So I'll help you without any qualms, right? Now, R. Now, for R, I have a very simple yet a very effective term for us. Just give me a moment. Right. R for readily, right? Readily. Readily is, without hesitation. Their marriage had gotten so bad that they separated their assets and, their kids readily, and got divorced. Right? So readily means without hesitation, to do something without hesitation. QRS for spark. Now spark is used as a noun and as a verb both. So when we are using it as a noun, we are using it as a noun, we know, right? Sparks are those small small things without, a blaze, or without a fire. Not without, but before a blaze turns into fire, right? So that is a spark. So as a noun, it means a small amount of something. A small amount of something. That is when you use spark as a noun, right? For example, you say, we worked hard all night, right? We worked hard all night with little hope, but finally we arrived at a conclusion and had a spark of inspiration, right? Had a spark of inspiration, and we finally arrived at a conclusion. So there you're using spark as a noun, but when you use it as a verb, what you mean is that, to make something happen. As a verb, it means to make something happen. To make, uh, to make something happen. So for example, uh, their argument sparked of a huge fight within within the within the among the members of parliament. The argument between the left and the right sparked of a huge fight among the members of the parliament, right? So that is the usage of spark. Then we have T for tantalizing. T for what? T for tantalizing. Tantalizing is, when you excite your desires, right? Exciting ones. For example, the tantalizing fragrance of paneer butter masala, right? Tantalizing flavors and fragrance of chicken 65. Yeah. Exciting one's desires. The tantalizing fragrance of her perfume was enough for me to swoon over her. Yeah. T के बाद we have U, right? U for utmost. U for utmost. So for example, utmost, do it with utmost care. I'll do my utmost to help you. Utmost means, utmost is used when you want to emphasize the importance of something. Emphasize the importance. Emphasize the importance of something. That is when you use the word or the term utmost, right? And I'll insert another slide here. Yeah. We just wrapped up you. After you, obviously, we'll have we. We to why, right? You would have heard of this phrase, which is to why for, right? Here, why is used as a verb and is followed by a preposition, right? To why for is to, kind of compete, compete for something, right? She was perhaps the most intelligent and, the most accomplished girl in the entire batch, and there were so many guys who were vying for her attention. So to vie for means to compete for something. So all these men, they were competing for her attention. So V for Y. Then we have W. W, say you'd have heard of this phrase whims and fancies. So we'll discuss whim. Whim is, when you suddenly do something very, very unusual. You have a sudden desire for something that is unusual, right? So a sudden desire that is unusual, right? So for example, I that meeting had been going on for 45 minutes, and suddenly on a whim I walked out and took a flight to Australia. And that happened 20 years ago. I've been in Australia ever since. So understand where I'm getting at, right? So suddenly in a meeting, you had a thought, you had a sudden desire, you had a whim, and you walked out of the meeting, you walked out of the boardroom, and you went to the airport, boarded a flight to Australia, and then you're saying that I've been living here ever since. So all of that happened on a whim, on a sudden desire, which was very, very uh, extraordinary. It was something that was unusual, right? So that is W. And W के बाद X. Now X से there are quite a few words that are very, very interesting. A word that was that came to me when I was thinking about this list was xenophobia, but it is kind of negative, right? Xenophobia means, to basically discriminate among different people, and to harm different communities. That is xenophobia, and it has a very negative connotation, and that is why instead of xenophobia I thought of using xenomania. Xenomania is used to describe pleasure that you experience when you meet strangers. Pleasure of meeting strangers, right? So I am a self-confessed xenomaniac, right? I like meeting strangers. So that is X for xenomania. Y for yearn. Y for yearn. Yearn is when you have, an intense longing for something. An intense longing for something. That is yearn, right? You yearn. I yearn to retire and live the rest of my life reading books, right? So I have a longing for that. I long to do that. I long to retire and live the rest of my life reading books. That is yearn. And finally, we have zest, right? Z for zest. They have a zest for life. They have what? They have a zest for life. Children have a zest for learning, right? He has zest for living. So zest is when you express keen enjoyment, right? Keen enjoyment. That is what zest as a term is used for, when you express something that you relish, right? He has that zest and that gusto for consuming knowledge, right? So, guys, with this, I wrap up the list, right? We've discussed 26 words that can launch you from a basic or an intermediate level in the English language to the advanced level. So, get going and start using all of these words. They will definitely enhance your ability for expression, and you'll stand out. You will essentially stand out if you start using these words in your day-to-day conversations. Right now, before wrapping up, I would like to tell you about the subscription models that Unacademy has. You can clearly see that as the time period goes up, the cost of the subscription per month goes down. And apart from these lectures that kind of value add on the platform, you'll come across quite a lot of live classes and courses that are very much in line with your exam syllabus to help you get the best of anything and everything. Plus, if you use my code Prankur, you'll get an extra 10% off on any of the subscriptions that you go for. I keep on launching new batches, new courses on a monthly basis, right? And you can start, basically availing the benefits of all my classes for free on the platform just by unlocking them using my name, right? So there are a lot of special classes on different topics on the Unacademy platform. You can unlock all of them and start learning from me for free just by using this code. Plus, if you like those classes, you can subscribe to the platform to additionally enroll in the courses. Courses are more long term and more structured, right? So they give you that feeling of accomplishing small milestones, right? So having said that, I would like to wrap up this class, and I'll see you again with a few more interesting insights into the English language. See you soon, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.